The pristine waiting room of Metropolitan General Hospital's VIP wing wasn't where I expected to have our monthly family confrontation. Yet here we were, my parents occupying the designer leather seats like thrones, their disappointment hanging heavier than the abstract art on the walls. Still working at this public hospital? Mom adjusted her Hermès scarf, eyes scanning the room for dust that didn't exist. Your sister's private practice made 7 figures last year. I glanced at my watch, a deliberately basic Timex that hid the fact I owned the company. Someone has to help the common folk, Mom. Dad shifted uncomfortably, his hand clutching the prescription that had brought them here. The same prescription that 3 elite specialists couldn't figure out. Speaking of help, are you sure you can get us in to see Dr. Williams? I hear the waiting list is months long. I'll manage, I replied, suppressing a smile. Dr. Williams worked for me like everyone else in my hospital network. Not that they knew that part. At least your sister has proper health insurance, Mom continued, her diamond tennis bracelet catching the light. Do you even have coverage on a resident's salary? The irony of her question made me check my secure phone, where the hospital's acquisition alerts kept buzzing. Another 3 facilities added to the network this morning. The total was reaching $40 billion in assets, but who was counting? I get by, I said just as the hospital's chief of medicine, Dr. Eleanor Chin, rushed into the waiting room. Her usually composed face showed controlled panic. Dr. Harrison. The board is waiting in the conference room. The Goldman Sachs merger can't proceed without your final approval, and the NYSE is expecting the announcement in 20 minutes. Mom's designer purse hit the floor. Dad's prescription floated down beside it. Board, he whispered. What board? I stood, straightening my white coat to reveal the subtle owner and chief executive embroidery they'd never bothered to notice. The hospital's board of directors. Though I suppose we should call it the Harrison Health Network's board now. Has a better ring to it. Harrison Health Network. Mom's voice cracked on each word. Yes, all 47 hospitals across 12 states. I gestured to the wing around us, including this one which I bought 5 years ago. Right after you told me I was wasting my medical degree by not joining Sarah's private practice. The waiting room's TV, normally tuned to bland daytime shows, switched to breaking news. Healthcare giant Harrison Medical Group set to announce historic $40 billion merger. But you live in that tiny apartment, Dad protested weakly. Drive that old Toyota. The apartment is the penthouse of my building, I corrected him. The Toyota is for hospital rounds. Keeps the staff comfortable. The Bentley feels a bit showy for daily use. Dr. Chin cleared her throat. Ma'am, about the board meeting. Of course. I turned to my stunned parents. Mom, Dad, I'd love to continue this chat, but when you're merging with Goldman Sachs, punctuality matters. Dr. Williams will see you now. Perks of having a daughter who owns the hospital. Oh, and don't worry about the bill. The hospital owner's parents get a family discount? Mom managed to ask. No, I smiled. The hospital owner's parents get to experience what real healthcare should look like. The kind I've been building while you were bragging about Sarah's boutique practice. The massive screen in the waiting room displayed my corporate logo, the one they dismissed as amateur at last year's Christmas dinner. Below it, stock prices soared as merger rumors hit the market. By the way, I added, collecting my tablet, that proper insurance you mentioned? I own the company, along with the pharmaceutical firm that makes Dad's prescription. Funny how life works out, isn't it? Dr. Chen's tablet chimed. The board is getting restless. And the Goldman Sachs CEO is on line 1. Tell James I'll be right there. I enjoyed their shocked expressions at my casual use of the CEO's first name. Mom, Dad, Dr. Williams is excellent. Though I would know, I hired her from Johns Hopkins last year. Along with their entire cardiology department. The Harrison Health Network's executive boardroom occupied the entire top floor of Metropolitan General, its floor-to-ceiling windows offering a panoramic view of the city I'd quietly conquered. 47 board members sat around the massive mahogany table, each representing a hospital in my growing empire. The Goldman merger values us at $43 billion, I announced, standing at the head of the table. But more importantly, it gives us the capital to expand our low-income healthcare initiatives. Through the glass wall, I could see my parents being escorted to Dr. Williams's office, their worldview crumbling with each step. The designer clothes and jewelry that usually gave them such confidence looked suddenly hollow. Speaking of initiatives, James Davidson, the Goldman Sachs CEO, appeared on the video wall. Your revolutionary patient care model has caught the White House's attention. The president is asking for a meeting next week. I caught my mother's head snapping up at those words, visible through the glass. Perfect timing. Tell them Tuesday works, I replied, signing the final merger documents. After my speech at the UN Health Summit, the boardroom door opened and my sister Sarah burst in, her private practice's lab coat fluttering. Is it true? You own Metropolitan? Actually, I gestured to the screens showing my hospital network. I own all of these. Metropolitan was just the start. Remember when you said I was hiding in public healthcare 5 years ago? Sarah's face paled as she recognized several hospitals that had recently rejected her partnership proposals. Those were all you? But they said the owner was a mysterious healthcare innovator. Mysterious. I pulled up our childhood photos on the screens. I lived next door. Came to every family dinner. Listened to every lecture about how I was wasting my potential in public healthcare while you built your elite practice. The board members, used to my calculated revelations, watched with barely concealed amusement. Your practice, I continued, pulling up her financials, makes what, 7 figures annually? That's sweet. My hospitals earn that every hour. But who's counting? Dr. Harrison, my CFO, interrupted. The World Health Organization is on line 3. They want to discuss implementing your universal care model globally. Sarah gripped the doorframe. Universal care? But that's not profitable. Actually, I brought up our financial projections. By eliminating administrative waste and implementing my AI diagnostic systems, we've increased profitability by 300% while reducing patient costs by 70%. The boardroom screens filled with data. Patient outcomes, cost analyses, treatment innovations. Each graph, each number represented a victory over the elitist healthcare system my family had championed. But you borrowed money from me last year. Sarah protested. For hospital supplies. No, I corrected her. You offered money unsolicited. I donated it to our free clinic program. Under your name, actually. Congratulations, you're now known as a champion of accessible healthcare. Through the glass, I could see my parents leaving Dr. Williams's office, their expressions a mix of awe and dawning comprehension as they saw the empire their failure daughter had built. Mr. Davidson, I turned back to the Goldman CEO. Shall we announce the merger? I believe my family could use a lesson in market dynamics. Of course, Dr. Harrison, James smiled. Though I suspect your family is about to learn several lessons. I pressed a button and every screen in the hospital network, all 47 facilities, lit up with the announcement. In Dr. Williams's waiting room, my parents watched their daughter's name appear as one of healthcare's most powerful figures. Sarah, I said softly, you might want to sit down for this part. Your practice's market value is about to become a rounding error in my quarterly reports. The stock market's reaction was immediate and seismic. The screens showed Harrison Health Network's value skyrocketing, each tick upward another nail in my family's pretensions. 45 billion. 48 billion. Sarah whispered, watching the numbers climb. Her designer phone buzzed continuously. No doubt her wealthy clients realizing their exclusive doctor was now small fry compared to her public hospital sister. Dr. Harrison, my assistant, entered with a stack of newspapers. The Wall Street Journal wants an exclusive on your rags to riches story. Particularly interested in how you kept this secret from your family. Rags. Mom's voice came from the doorway where she and Dad had appeared. We gave you everything. Except support, I replied, taking the newspapers. My face graced every financial section. Healthcare's hidden titan emerges, declared the Times. The quiet revolution in medicine, proclaimed the Post. You should see tomorrow's headlines, I smiled, pulling up the pre-release copies on my tablet. Harrison Health Network revolutionizes patient care. Billionaire CEO reveals 5-year stealth expansion. Billionaire. Dad choked on the word. Multi-billionaire, actually, James Davidson corrected from the video screen. Dr. Harrison's personal net worth just crossed $11 billion with this merger. I enjoyed watching them process that number. 11 billion. More than 1,000 times what Sarah's successful practice was worth. But all those family dinners, Sarah stuttered. You kept asking me for advice about running a medical practice. Market research, I shrugged. Wanted to understand exactly what wasn't working in private healthcare. Your practice was the perfect case study in everything wrong with the system. The boardroom door opened again. This time, Dr. Williams entered with my parents' medical files. Your father's condition, she announced, requires a specialized treatment we developed in our research division. The same one you called wasteful spending at Christmas, Sarah. The treatment costs? Mom asked weakly, her hand clutching her designer purse. Would be about $2.3 million, Dr. Williams replied. But as I explained to the hospital owner's parents, it's covered. I pulled up the research division's budget on the screens. That wasteful department? Annual budget of $4 billion. Created 3 breakthrough treatments last year alone. Generated $12 billion in revenue. Sarah sank into a boardroom chair, her private practice's lab coat suddenly looking cheap compared to the bespoke suits of my board members. Speaking of revenue, my CFO interjected, your sister's practice just called. Their malpractice insurance was cancelled after the merger announcement. Why? Sarah jumped up. Because, I explained patiently, I own the insurance company, along with the medical supply chain you depend on. And the pharmaceutical companies that supply your medications. The implications hit her like a physical blow. Her entire practice's infrastructure was suddenly in my hands. Don't worry, I assured her, signing another stack of merger documents. I'm not vindictive. You can keep your insurance at normal rates. Consider it a lesson in healthcare economics. The screens showed my hospital network expanding across the digital map, each location a point of light in my healthcare constellation. My parents watched their daughter's public hospital job transform into an empire before their eyes. Dr. Harrison, my assistant returned. The White House is confirming Tuesday. They're sending Air Force One. Air Force One. Dad's medical degrees suddenly felt very small. Can't keep the president waiting, I smiled. We're revolutionizing American healthcare. Though I should thank you all, your doubt was excellent motivation. The following week unfolded like a carefully orchestrated symphony of revelations. I sat in the Oval Office watching my parents and sister on the multiple screens as they discovered each new facet of my empire through the media storm. Your universal healthcare initiative is remarkable, the president said, cameras flashing as we signed the historic partnership. Cutting costs while improving care, they said it couldn't be done. They say a lot of things, Mr. President, I replied, thinking of all the family dinners where I'd endured lectures about realistic career goals. I prefer to prove them wrong. Back at Metropolitan General, my family huddled in my executive office, watching the live broadcast. The office they'd never known existed, with its view of the city skyline and the helipad where my private helicopter waited. And now, the president continued, I'm pleased to announce Dr. Harrison will be leading our National Healthcare Reform Task Force. Sarah's coffee cup clattered against its saucer. Mom gripped Dad's arm as their daughter, the one they'd dismissed as lacking ambition, was appointed to reshape American healthcare. My phone buzzed. Another acquisition alert. I smiled, remembering Sarah's condescending advice about small practice management. Your daughter's quite the chess player, James Davidson commented from Goldman's executive suite watching the ceremony. Built an empire right under everyone's nose. The TV switched to business news. Harrison Health Network stocks surge 500% on government partnership announcement. Market value now exceeds $100 billion. $100 billion? Sarah whispered, her private practice's financials spread across my office desk. The same desk where she'd once lectured me about fiscal responsibility. My executive assistant entered with more news. The Nobel Committee called. They're announcing the medicine prize early this year. Let me guess, I said, signing another stack of acquisition papers. Our breakthrough in genetic therapy? Actually, all 3 finalist spots. Your research division's work in cancer treatment, neural regeneration and viral immunity. Mom's designer handbag slipped from her lap. All those times she'd questioned my research budget, and now her daughter was about to become a triple Nobel nominee. The office doors opened again. Dr. Williams entered with Dad's latest test results. The treatment was successful, she announced. The procedure your daughter developed personally saved your life. Dad looked at the medical charts, his surgeon's expertise letting him understand exactly what his underachieving daughter had accomplished. That's wonderful news, I said, stepping off Air Force One and into my office via the private elevator. Though you really should thank Sarah. Her practice's failures inspired me to develop the treatment. My practice isn't failing, Sarah protested weakly. No, I agreed, pulling up her financials on the office's wall screens. But it is now officially a subsidiary of Harrison Health Network. The acquisition went through an hour ago. You bought my practice? Sarah's voice rose an octave. Along with every other private practice in the state, I confirmed. Part of our universal care initiative. Though don't worry, you can keep managing it. Under our new protocols, of course. Sarah's clinic now had top-tech AI diagnostics and efficient systems. Everything she once called too expensive. But I was supposed to be the successful one, she whispered. Success is relative, I said, taking a call about a UN summit. A Nobel nomination pinged my phone. The Tokyo Stock Exchange awaited news of my Asian expansion. Japan's healthcare system was next. I sat at my CO desk showing my family a record of every time they doubted me. Their hierarchy crumbled as they saw what I'd built. A global healthcare empire. Success wasn't just proving them wrong. It was proving myself right so boldly that no one could deny it.